Brendon, let's start with the Orlando Magic. Paolo Banchero has had a very impressive week. This team is now 4-2 in the year. They're 9th in net rating, 21st in offense, 4th in defense. Are coming off a 120-101 win over the Lakers after they lost to the Lakers 106-103 a few days prior. Paolo Banchero has been someone who has, I think, done some really impressive stuff. And where I want to start with him, Brendon, is that his shot profile is a little bit different than last year. And I'm curious to see what you make of that. He's taking more shots at the rim. He's taking fewer threes. And this is already someone who was, relative to his position, not taking necessarily a ton of threes. His effective field goal percentage is still a little bit low, but he's 47% of his shots at the rim. That's up 10% from last year. 16% of his shots are from three. That's down 5% from last year. It's still early, but it seems like he is deciding, I am a large man who is really strong, and I'm going to go at you at the rim more than I'm going to take threes just because that's the modern thing. That kind of feels like the early lesson from what Paolo is. Does that read you, and what do you make of just this adjustment we're seeing?
I agree with the approach. I think that is his realization. I would say I don't expect it to be 47% all year would be my guess. I think he is a good three-point shooter. It feels like the very Jason Tatum-esque form of the pull-up three that he's starting to come along with is a weapon for him that he'll lean into too. But to me, the approach in that regard, he got to the free throw line a bunch last year, so it's just an expansion of what we've already known. Maybe there's a little bit of holdover from the way that he was used with Team USA, where it really was that. On the roll, in transition, it was just Paolo get to the basket, right? To me, the biggest reason I would guess he's kind of either by necessity or deliberately doing this is the team context. This is a team that has nobody else who gets to the basket. So if they're going to be good, if they're going to try their damnedest, hopefully, fingers crossed, please, to get out of the bottom 10 offensively, I think that the diversification of their offense is going to need to come. And the number one way for that to happen is for him to be more effective as a driver. And he has the feel to turn that into a drive and kick, to get the floater up, to try to draw the foul, or to just dunk on your head. I mean, we saw the touch that he had against LeBron or against whoever was guarding him to win the Jazz game on that game winner. That was like driving to his right, kind of almost like along the box, and drops up a little touch teardrop off the like top of the backboard. You know what I mean? That stuff is next level, and so that's where I think it's coming from. Is just somebody has to do it. And it's probably got to be him because they don't have the guards who are capable right now.
Well, to his point, too, he just also has the frame at 6'10 and like 250, whatever he is, to absolutely just hammer guys. He had a drive against the Lakers that second game where Christian Wood and Max Christie are trying to guard him. And he just hammered them. Christie is trying to help, and Christian Wood is the main defender on Paolo, and he just had no chance. Christian Wood is like ostensibly an NBA center who's like a grown adult man, and Paolo, who is younger than him, looked bigger, played bigger, and I don't know what teams are supposed to do with that. When he is aggressive and getting downhill like that, I do not exactly know what you're supposed to do to defend that guy. That guy is kind of a one-man downhill wrecking ball. And if he doesn't ever shoot threes at a really big clip, but he adds passing, I would kind of take that trade-off. If he kind of has that kind of game, and you have Franz, and you have shooters around him, and you have a big who can maybe space a little bit and play make a little bit, there's a way that isn't like a total hamper on his ceiling to me, because he's not unguardable when he does this, but he becomes insanely hard to guard when this guy is just going downhill, and your job is to stop this wrecking ball of a human being with really good footwork and really good touch. And he's only going to get better. Right now he's about at the same percentage.
That's what I was going to say. It's like he can't. Yeah. He's not unguardable right now, but he's 20. Like he might get pretty damn close.
Well, and even at the rim, it's like right now he's at like 63%. I think that's about where he was last year. This is someone that as he gets stronger, touch gets better. Maybe adds a couple other moves into his repertoire, maybe like a good, short mid-range pull-up, something like that. the efficiency at the rim could get up to like big man numbers. Like it's there on the table for him if it goes a certain way.
Yeah, and look, it's like the 3-point shooting is good enough already. I think you trust him if it's catch and shoot. It's not like it's Giannis or something, right? And then the other part is I don't like being a perimeter player doesn't have to mean that you're bombing threes. I think the stuff we saw at Duke in terms of dribble handoffs, face up, he can turn an ISO or a catch at the top of the key into a layup pretty easily. And so as long as a 3-point shot is good enough, it'll open up the rest. And the passing has always been there and everything else. I mean, I think how they build this thing will be interesting. You see the effect that Ingles and Harris have when they're out there as kind of that's what you're shooting toward, even though you're not going to obviously play those guys too much because you're trying to develop. But we talked a lot in our preview heading into the year about like one of these two star players needs to become the engine of the offense full time. And I think we've talked about Franz last week. To me, because of the 3-level ability that I think Paolo is flashing, it feels more like it'll be him if he can keep some of this stuff up. But both are great, and both have been very good to start the year, and both have started to take over a little more, which is the other thing we talked about with Franz that I think is worth mentioning with Paolo. You know, those shot attempts and everything after our first week check-in with them was like, why are these guys not just grabbing hold of these games? And Paolo did in that Jazz game for sure.